Congratulations, after which Devon Malcolm, who can come up please to present the first award of the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ralph. This is for the Perry Lewis Kershaw Memorial Trophy that we give each year to the Cricket Society 11 player most deserving of it. And this year's award is going to be shared between two Cricket Society stalwarts who sadly made their final appearances for us in 2018. Andy Graham, first of all. Andy's soldiered on bravely in the face of injury, but has finally had to submit after many years of rugby and cricket knocks. He was introduced to us by his old Edinburgh Academy opening partner, Ronald Patterson. And Andy has hit 236 runs in exactly 200 appearances for us, and he's also taken many outstanding catches at first slip. He's also been the most organised and supportive of all match managers, has served on our committee for many years, bringing much needed good sense to our deliberation, and was our first convener, which is an appropriate Scottish term. Fortunately for us, he intends to continue in these roles, and more especially, he has been and remains a very good friend to many of us. I know we'll see Andy and Jill at many of our games, and two of Andy's proudest moments have been at Rudgwick down in Sussex. In 2016, Andy's son Angus hit a glorious 121, including more sixes than I can remember. And then the next year, Angus batted with his sister, Rosie, at the same place. And Andy's here today with his brother, Tom. And our second winner is Andrew Moss. At the end of last season, Andrew told us he played the last of his 266 games for the Society 11. Andrew scored 5,961 runs, and every one of them was with a grace and elegance that nobody else could match. Wonderful player. Andrew's record of 154 not out at Knotty Green in 1990 has only been bettered twice since. Sadly, the years have finally caught up, but even in his last innings, we saw a glimpse of those wonderful shots. Andrew's cricketing knowledge is immense. As well as match managing for many years and supplying a host of good cricketers, Andrew introduced my vice-captain of the team, Rob Humphreys, to our ranks. His wife Susan is with Andrew today, and I'm sure that Andrew and Susan will continue to support us in between their marathon cycling holidays, and that we won't lose one of the best cricketers, and certainly the finest man ever played for us. So the winners today, Andy Graham and Andrew Moss.
Can I just say something very quickly? First of all, thank you to the Society for presenting us with this award on behalf of us both. I can't think of a nicer bloke to share it with than Andy. Delighted that we're sharing it together. And the final thing I'd like to say is that this is an award not for particularly scoring runs or taking wickets or anything, but for being part of the society ethic. And I can only say that there are 11 other blokes in the team who are as deserving of it as we are. It could have gone to any one of us. It's a great privilege to have won it today.
Our next award is the Don Rowan Memorial Trophy for the Surrey School most outstanding in using cricket to help those with special needs. Can I invite Katie Rowan up here? Katie's just going to introduce the award for us.
Well, it's just wonderful to be here in what is the 25th year of the Don Rowan Trophy. And when Don died in '96, quite amazingly, if I tell you that, for those of you who still remember him, cricket, like everyone else here, was his absolute passion. And when I got to know Don, one of the first things I was taken to was a cricket society dinner. So I knew exactly what I was taking on, and it has been absolutely wonderful. And so when he died in '96, Bill Allen, who was chair of the Cricket Society, and he is here today, which is marvellous, and I met with Bill and I said, I've got to do something that's going to contribute to cricket in Don's name, because that is what he would want. And he said, well, how about, Don was a member of Surrey, a member of Lords, and a member of Kent. And so what evolved was his cricket trophy, which supported the work with not with special schools then, but with schools that Surrey developed. And I can always remember the first school that won it, who came from Bermondsey, and when they got the trophy, they said, we've never ever won anything like this. And this was the most wonderful start, I think, to it. And then Chris Bull, some years further on, as it developed, said, Katie, I know of your interest in special needs. How about we focus on schools and children with special needs? I said, bingo. And to see how it has developed to today is just so inspiring for me. And I want to pay tribute to the Cricket Society, to Surrey, for the wonderful work that they are doing and the wonderful coaches who have developed. And it's been such a privilege for me to sit here with the winners from Orchard Hill School and to meet the wonderful young people who are so enthusiastic and for me epitomise everything that Don with his enthusiasm and the enthusiasm for all of you here. This is what cricket is all about, and how it involves is a game for everybody. So I want to thank the Cricket Society, I want to thank Surrey, I want to thank all of you, and the wonderful winners who are here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie. Gavin Reynolds, who's here today, of the Surrey Cricket Foundation, in nominating this year's winner, Orchard Hill College, wrote, the college students have been involved in Surrey's disability programme, which has been running every Wednesday out of the Stretton Leisure Centre for well over a year. Led by their hugely positive and inspiring teacher, Frank Innes, they started off with around 12 to 15 students attending each week. This has progressed to, at times, between 25 to 30 students in a single cricket and multi-sport session. The noticeable difference in some of Orchard Hill students has been huge. They've learned a whole range of new cricket skills, as well as having to work alongside students from 2 other local colleges. This is having a real impact, not only at present, but having this regular sporting structure will allow the students to gain more confidence, benefiting them with their social skills. And for some, it's providing an opportunity to put their names forward for the Surrey Cricket Softball Disability Team in 2019. The strong partnership between Orchard Hill College and their students is a real positive, and we look forward to seeing their students continue their positive contribution in our programme as we enter 2019 and beyond. School representatives Frank Innes and Carrie Macy, together with students Jordan and Alfie, please come forward and accept your awards.
I just want to say it was something that Alfie said to me, and I hope that Alfie can say this. If he can't, he might allow me to say it, but Alfie, can you say what you said to me as to how special being involved in this with Surrey and being here today? Can you say it to tell everybody? That would be lovely if you felt it, but you wanted to.
Is it clear, everyone? I think we did sports.
Our next award is the Christopher Box Granger Memorial Trophy, which will be introduced by John Barclay and presented by Austin Bushra, who's the Head of Business Development at Bunzl. Would you like to both come up here?
Raph, thank you so much. Can I just say, that was, not often does one hear an inspirational speech. But Katie, where's Katie gone? Katie, that was inspirational to all 230 of us, to hear your words there spoken with such clarity, and then to have the presentation for the young people was just wonderful. And we're going to continue, very briefly, on the theme of special needs. Youngsters who find life, one way or another, quite a struggle. I've been very fortunate, it's been an honour and a privilege, really, to run a scheme based at Arundel Castle for years and years and years, it seems now. And within that scheme, we have had visiting us many people, many youngsters from special needs schools. And here we have the Chris Box Granger Memorial Trophy, which Jane Box Granger was so keen should be awarded in the area of special needs and disability. And we, for years, have done just that. And we award the prize, or the present, if you like, to the school which has enhanced their lives, the lives of the youngsters, and indeed our lives at Arundel the most. And this year, the winner is Brent Knoll School from Lewisham, not very far down the road. And they have at Lewisham, and there are many of them throughout the country, but an inspirational teacher in Naomi Van, who's with us. Naomi, can you just come up here? We'd love to see you. It'd be great. Naomi Van, who looks after youngsters, teenagers for the main, with all sorts of different problems. And it's to Naomi, on behalf of the Cricket Society, that the Chris Box Granger, Naomi, wonderful to see you, and the Chris Box Granger is going to be awarded by, here we are, Matt, is it? Boston, what is it? Oh, Matt Johnson.
say a big thank you to John, but also I wish he'd warned me before I'd had a few glasses of wine. Because this isn't my normal school dinner that I've had today, it's been lovely. It's fabulous down at Arundel. If you've never been, I hope you do get yourselves there. It offers a slice of freedom to my children. Most of the time when they go out, they can't access the parks in the same way. If they can, they can't roll around in the parks, that are certainly not our local parks. But when they go to Arundel, it's a sense of freedom for them. And the difference that I see in the children that I take on a Monday to when I bring them home on a Friday, I can't thank John enough for that. And this trophy will be treasured by them all at school. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, John and Austin there. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Loyal Toast, which will be given by Phil Reeves.
The Queen.
This, for the 2018 season, goes to a popular, long-serving county and England player, Moeen Ali. Over the three formats of the game, he scored 1,125 runs in the season at an average of 37.5 and took 67 wickets at just under 24 to leave him well clear of his rivals for this award. In first-class matches alone, he scored 502 runs at an average just under 56 and took 30 wickets at less than 20 apiece, all in only 5 matches. At county level, he took a particular liking to playing against Yorkshire. At Scarborough in August, he scored 219 in his only innings and took 8 wickets, including a season's best return of 6 for 49 in Yorkshire's second innings. Then he made 2 scores in the 60s in the return fixture at Worcester at the end of the season. He was also a consistent all-round performer in both the shorter formats of the game. He made centuries in each format, an innings of 114 in the Royal London Cup and another of 115 in the Vitality Blast, both of these against his former team Warwickshire on their own ground at Edgbaston. With 25 wickets, he was also the second highest wicket taker in the season's List A matches. Moeen receives this award in recognition of his performances in all matches across the season, but of course we cannot and should not forget his contributions to England's success in the Test series against India. Coming into the side for the last 2 Tests, he scored 119 runs, including 70 runs in the dreaded number 3 position at the Oval, and took 12 wickets, including returns of 5 for 63 and 4 for 71 at the Ageas Bowl, a performance for which he was named man of the match. Their man of the match, our man of the season, Moeen Ali. Unfortunately, Moeen Ali is currently playing cricket in the Indian Premier League, so his award will be presented to him on a suitable occasion in the future. Okay, and our next award, the Wetherell Award for the leading schools all-rounder of 2018, goes to George Hill of Sedbergh School. A right-handed batsman and medium-pace swing bowler, for Sedbergh last year, George scored the enviable, and perhaps just a little unenviable, total of 999 runs. That's an average of 99.9. As well as taking 24 wickets at around 18.5. He hit 4 centuries, the highest, a score of 129 not out, against Bolton School. George is described as being calm at the crease, a good judge of a run chase, and willing to use his feet against the spinners, as well as being a proven and accurate one-day bowler. We're told that he wasn't bothered about ending his school season on 999 runs. He was more concerned with seeing that last match safely through to its conclusion. And we've also been reminded that he achieved that run tally despite missing several school fixtures as a result of commitments for the Yorkshire Academy. The 2018 season was memorable for George, not just because of his performances for Sedbergh. Having been a successful run scorer and wicket taker for Yorkshire at age group level since under-14s, he has since graduated to the Academy, and in 2018 also made his debut for Yorkshire Second in the Second 11 Championship and Trophy. Earlier this year, George, when just a few days past his 18th birthday, was selected for the full England Under-19 tour to Bangladesh. He played in all 6 of the international matches on the tour, including with 2 Under-19 tests, in one of which he played an innings of 91. Clearly, George has a hugely promising future ahead of him. But first, he has another season at school where he'll be the cricket captain in the coming summer. After that, maybe university and cricket for Yorkshire, and who knows what else. George's mother and father, Gay and Kevin, his brother Freddie, and his cricket coach Martin Spade are all here with him today. George, please come forward to accept your award.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to say a few words. First and foremost, many grateful thanks to Cricket Society for presenting me with this incredible prestigious award. The Weather Award for the leading all-rounder in schools cricket. There's some amazing winners from recent times. I'm honoured and humbled to be joining such great cricketers on the trophy. It was a nice birthday present when Dad rang me to tell me the award. In particular, I'd like to thank Mr. Cashmore Till of the Cricket Society for his superb organisation around today's event. And also securing tickets to today's lunch for my family. However, I won't be able to stand up here today at this most famous of cricket grounds and accept the award for not the fantastic support provided to me by so many people. Firstly, I'd like to publicly thank Mum and Dad for their unwavering support for me and for me to my younger brother, Freddie, who, when not playing his own cricket matches, gets dragged along, unfortunately, to play. And thank you very much to those. Also, I'd like to thank Sedbergh School for providing me with the support and encouragement that's been unwavering for the past 5 years, in particular my housemaster, Mr. Marn, and headmaster, Mr. Harrison. Secondly, Yorkshire Cricket Club, notably Richard Downs and Ian Jews, have been nothing short of amazing in their help. I've been playing cricket through York since I was around 10 years of age, and the whole setup from then to now has been brilliant. It's an honour to represent such a famous club. And last but by no means least, I'd like to make one more special mention. I would simply not be half the cricketer I am today without the efforts of this one man. He has coached since I was an ungainly 11-year-old at prep school that struggled to get the ball for the square. Over the past 7 years, we've had more 6 AM starts than nets than I care to think about, not to mention numerous late nights in his study over endless cups of tea. He is a great person off the cricket pitch and great in nets as well. However, during the game, he sits with Villian and managed to finish the Telegraph crossword, which again showed his faith in the team on the day. He was a player before his time when he played first-class cricket, and those who know about such things are the first to say they are amazed as how he did not play for his country. That said, I would like to think I'm a beneficiary of his incredible vision, expertise and ability. So a very public and massive thank you to Martin Spate, cricket professional at Severn School. So in closing, I would like to thank again the Cricket Society for the received award. Thank you very much.
For our next award, the Cricket Society shows that it's moving with the times. This year's most promising young male cricketer appeared in just one first-class game in 2018. Pat Brown is a T20 specialist and a highly gifted one. Combining cricket for Worcestershire with a degree course at the University of Worcester, Pat enjoyed an outstanding season in his county's title-winning Vitality last season. He took 31 wickets, the second best ever, at 13.35, with an economy rate of 7.64 per over. In the semi-final against Lancashire, he took 3 wickets for 1 run in the 19th over, and conceded just 9 runs in his last 2 overs in the final against Sussex. He can bowl at 85 miles per hour, but his slower balls are his strength, especially the knuckle ball, which hangs in the air and then drops like a stone. In a pre-World Cup winter, there's been very little international T20 cricket, but Pat's time will come. Look out for this unassuming young man from Lincolnshire, Pat Brown. Unfortunately, Pat can't be here today, but we do have an advance acceptance speech, which hopefully is going to be played now.
Hi guys, I'm delighted to accept the Society's Most Promising Young Player Award for 2018. It gives me great pleasure to have won this award, having come off the back of a great season at the Rapids, where we obviously won Vitality last, so it makes it even more special for me. Unfortunately, I can't be there for lunch with you guys today due to commitments here at Worcester, so I hope you'll have a great day and enjoy the rest of the awards.
I'd like to invite MCC President Anthony Rayford to come and present our next award. Sophia Dunkley is this year's winner of our Most Promising Young Female Cricketer Award. Sophia grew up in North London and, encouraged by her dedicated mum, she's progressed through Finchley Cricket Club, a sports scholarship at Mill Hill School, county cricket for Middlesex, and the England Women's Academy to a key role for Surrey Stars, the winners of the 2018 Kia Super League, and inclusion in the current England side. 2018 was a breakthrough year for Sophia. In a hugely talented Surrey Stars side, her opportunities were sometimes limited, but she seized her chance with 66 off just 43 balls against Southern Vipers, and her leg spin bowling claimed 3 for 18 against Western Storm, including the scalps of England captain Heather Knight and tournament leading run scorer India's Smriti Mandana. Selection for the England team in the World Cup in the West Indies forced Sophia to take time out of her sports science degree course at Loughborough University. In her very first innings for England, going in at 48 for 5 against West Indies, she rescued the innings with 35 off 30 balls. She helped take England to the tournament final against Australia and won selection for the winter tours of India and Sri Lanka. All the star names in the current England side are past winners of this award, so she's in good company. The winner is Sophia Dunkley. Unfortunately, Sophia can't be present today. She's just landed on a flight back from Sri Lanka, but we're asking Sophia's mother Caroline to accept the award on Sophia's behalf, after which Danny Warren, Head of Women's Cricket for Middlesex, will respond.
I'd better be careful here, I'm on the wrong side of the Thames. But all joking aside, this is actually a really good example of how Middlesex and Surrey have worked together to create a really, really talented cricketer and help her achieve her dreams. She started playing at Middlesex when she was a 10-year-old, and you knew from the point you kind of met her that she was slightly different, an infectious love for the game, a really understated brain. She might not be able to tell you what she was thinking, but she always did the right thing on the cricket pitch. And having worked with her for a number of years, it's been a joy to watch her get these opportunities in the KS Super League with the Stars over the last couple of years and to push on and play for England. She's a really exciting and probably the new brand of women's cricketers that we're going to see coming through the system, and it's been fantastic to watch her develop and to see her take her game to the next level. So I'm so excited to see that she's won this award. She's in great company, and I hope that she kicks on and does as well as the past winners have in previous years. So, on behalf of Sophia, thank you very much.
Okay. I'd like to invite Devon Malcolm back up to present the remaining awards, please. The winner of the A.A. Thompson Award for Fielding is James Croney. James began his cricket in Staffordshire and still plays for the same club as his father, Newcastle and Hartshill, in the North Saxon South Cheshire League during the school holidays. His talents have taken him to the Northamptonshire Academy and to a sports scholarship at Stowe School, where he made 350 runs for the first 11 in 2018. He also hit 2 centuries for Northamptonshire under-17s and won the award of Player of the Year for Northamptonshire Youth Cricket. Representing the Midlands at the Bunbury Festival, James hit 58 against the South and West, and then scored 76 of 62 balls against the North, sharing a match-winning partnership with Jacob Bethel. He then went on to run out 2 unfortunate North batsmen with direct hits. And the moral of that story is not to take liberties with James's throwing. James's mother and father, Richard and Louise, and his sister Lola are with him today. The winner is James Croney.
I'd just like to say thank you to the Cricket Society for allowing me to receive this award. It's a real honour, a real pleasure to receive it. I'd just like to say thanks to the Cricket Society, Mr Knott, my head of cricket at school, and my parents for driving me around the country to attend all my cricket matches throughout the season.
Our next prize for the best under-15 schools cricketer goes to Jacob Bethel. Born into a Barbados cricketing family, Jacob was brought up in the family home in Barbados and enjoyed outstanding cricketing success on his home island. He represented Barbados under-15s for 3 years. This didn't go unnoticed in England, and Jacob has since joined the Warwickshire Emerging Players Programme and taken up a scholarship at rugby school, where he's coached by ex-Warwickshire skipper Michael Powell, who's with him today. Jacob is a left-hand opening bat and a left-arm spinner. Playing for the Midlands in the under-15 Bunbury tournament, he scored 225 runs at 37.5, including 111 against the North, and took 9 wickets at 20.11. He enjoyed success in the Rugby First 11. He also scored consistently for and took wickets for Warwickshire under-15s and under-17s. He plays his club cricket for Kenilworth Wardens in the Birmingham League. Past winners of this award include Mike Atherton and Mike Gatting, along with current Warwickshire player Dom Sibley. Now there's a challenge. Our winner is Jacob Bethel.
like to thank everyone at the Cricket Society for allowing me the opportunity to come here today and receive this award, have some nice food amongst some of the cricketing greats of the world. I also like to thank Michael Powell, my coach, and my parents, who unfortunately can't be here today, but thank you everyone.
Okay, and our final award of today is the Ian Jackson Award. Recipients of this award are chosen by the Executive Committee of the Cricket Society. The award commemorates the memory of Ian Jackson, a former chairman of the Cricket Society, who died suddenly in 2008 after only a short period as our chairman. Ian had a strikingly enthusiastic attitude to life, with his love for and commitment to cricket shining through. The award is effectively our Spirit of Cricket Award, and goes annually to an individual or group who, through their distinguished endeavours and commitment to cricket, have met the mission and spirit of the Cricket Society. Previous recipients have been Stephen Chalk, David English, David Frith, Rachel Hayhoe-Flint, Mike Brearley, Dennis Amos, Henry Blofeld and Charlotte Edwards. This year's winner of the Ian Jackson Award for a lifetime service to cricket is John Holder. John was born in the wonderfully named Superlative in St George's, Barbados. He came to the UK in the 1960s to work on the London Underground. His talent as a right-arm fast-medium bowler was soon spotted, and a career at Hampshire followed between 1968 and 1972. During this time, he took 139 first-class wickets at 24.56 and 46 List A wickets at 26.36. He took 13 wickets for 128 against Gloucestershire in 1972 and a hat-trick against Kent in the same season. A back injury forced his retirement in 1972 and prevented him from playing in the championship-winning side in 1973. Settling in the Northwest, he played as a pro for several teams from 1974 to 1982. In 1982, John became a first-class umpire. Appointed to the Test panel in 1988, he stood in 11 Test matches and 23 ODIs. He is credited with Don Osbear with the idea of a bowl out after a tied finish. After compulsory retirement at 65, John continued to umpire club and women's cricket, and he co-authored the highly successful You Are the Umpire book, which looked at unusual and difficult umpiring decisions. John's knowledge and manner are held in the deepest respect, and in 2009 he was appointed by the International Cricket Council as Regional Umpire Performance Manager for the Americas and Europe. The man from Superlative is certainly the worthiest of winners of this award, and the winner of the Ian Jackson Award is John Holder.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Cricket Society for nominating me for this award, an award which on the 15th of January this year I got an email and tell me about this award, an award I never knew existed. So I was absolutely flabbergasted. I was humbled as well. But before I get to that, I'm looking around the audience here, my 27 years of umpiring. This left arm, this left index finger has done a fair amount of damage. I can see various victims like Graham Clinton and Monty Lynch and so on and so on. But I must admit that umpiring for me was the next best thing to playing. And in terms of career enjoyment and job satisfaction, it's the best decision I made. Umpiring just suited my temperament. And what I loved about umpiring is watching the umpiring at the highest level is a battle of wits between a top-class batsman and a top-class bowler who's got 10 fielders, and he sets the field, setting traps to try and dismiss the batsman or try to stop him from scoring. And standing at the bowler's end and watching that is absolutely fascinating. And in my first year in 1983, I umpired a game at Chelmsford, May 1983, between Essex and Surrey. We had a bit of rain on the 3-day match. On the first day we had quite a bit of rain, so on May Day 1983, Essex batted and scored about just over 300, and left Surrey with 65 minutes to bat. And whereas when the Surrey bowlers, including the fearsome Sylvester Clarke, bowled, the ball hardly got past the bat. All of a sudden, Neil Foster, young Neil Foster, long, lanky Neil Foster, and a chap called Norbert Phillip, had this duke ball swinging like a boomerang. And Surrey were 9 for 9. and the atmosphere on the field was unbelievable. This is my second first-class match on my debut in first-class on Prem. The atmosphere was unbelievable. And I was standing with a chap, Bill Ali, and I thought, what have I done to deserve this pressure? Because almost every ball could have been a wicket. Anyhow, and Roger Knight, the Surrey captain, comes up to bat and he said to me, John, in his rather posh accent, is the ball swinging? And I said, yes. And he climbed up to the first ball and he did what I'll be doing. Anyhow, at 9 for 9, the last ball from my end, Norbert Phillip bowling to Sylvester Clarke, who edged the ball to slip and it got dropped. He got a single, the ball went to third man. Next ball, first ball, he slugged it for 14 and lost his off stump. That was the most unbelievable session of cricket I've seen in my life ever. So, and then one of the other incidents in first class cricket, which I'll never forget, there was a game, I umpired a game, and this is the John Barclay, the Sussex captain, who was a bit naughty. There was a bit of a breakdown in relations between the players and the committee at Hove. And in a county match at Hove, John, in protesting, he led a protest in behalf of the players against the committee, and he ordered drinks on the field, beer, whatever. The fellow sat down on the field, right in front of the committee, and looked at the committee and supped their drinks for 5 minutes. And Mr. Barclay, John Barclay, one of the nicest men in cricket. I don't want to go on too long, but I'm going to get involved in a little bit of controversy. This thing about Mankaddy. Listen, the game is played to 42 laws. And if people play the game, forget this thing about spirit of cricket. A bowler running out a batsman. A batsman leaves his ground early for one purpose only, to gain an unfair advantage. It's against the laws. The way how I was coached as a youngster, when you're a non-striker, as the bowler runs into ball, you've got the bat in the crease and you're watching him and you're moving. A lot of batsmen nowadays, they stand there like this, no idea where the bowler is, and start walking onto the ground. You can't do that, it's against the law. And if people play the game according to the laws, there'll be no controversy. So this thing about spirit of cricket is nonsense. Play the game according to the laws and enjoy it. Thank you.
To respond in his own inimitable fashion.
Thank you, and thank you for fabulous invitation for lunch and the chance to come back to the Oval, where I have lots and lots of memories. It's that time of year where you can smell the beginning of the season. And how wonderful to be upstairs on such a glorious day, just with the anticipation of the summer to come. My parents used to remind me of a Sunday lunch conversation when I was about 9 or 10, and the topic was favourite flowers. Now, in those days, issues like Brexit didn't get to the Sunday lunch table. But apparently, I said daffodils, and I was asked why daffodils are my favourite flower. And my reply apparently was, because when daffodils die, the cricket season starts. As a schoolboy, I had a couple of dreams. The first was to play cricket for England, obviously. The second was to play lead guitar for the Rolling Stones. And sadly, neither of those materialised. I also spent a lot of time as a schoolboy standing in the corner because I used to get repetitively caught playing a game called Owsat. Do you remember? Sort of a dice game. Anyhow, when I left that particular school, the headmaster presented me with 14 sets that he'd confiscated. My father then realised that actually the way to handle this cricket-mad child was to actually give him incentives. And my incentive was that if I did well in exams and at school, I could go to the Oval Test. So, in 1966, I came here for the first time to see England against the West Indies, which you may remember was the Test match that Brian Close was brought back as captain. Ken Higgs, John Snow got on 100 for the last wicket, Gravely got 100, J.T. Murray got 100. And then in the second dig, John Snow bounced Gary Sober's first ball, who in trying to hook the ball, hooked it onto his box, and it popped up to Brian Close, who hadn't flinched. Sober's out first ball, and that was just one of those things that just stuck in a schoolboy memory. But then 2 years later, I came here for the England-Australia Test, when England needed to win that Test match to draw the series. On the last day, it poured with rain, and the outfield was flooded, and a cry went out for anybody, any spectator who was willing to actually roll up their trouser legs, get out there with towels and do the mopping up. And I was one of those kids. So the first time I ever set foot on the Oval outfield was as part of a washing up operation. And then Derek Underwood came on and took 7 for 50. And there's that wonderful famous photograph of everybody around the back with John Inverarity padding up LBW Underwood. Thank you very much indeed, series drawn. I was also here briefly for part of Devon's wonderful spell against South Africa. And to be sort of bowling either end of you, my friend, is a huge, huge privilege. Mickey Stewart rang me at the beginning of the 1980s and said, was I available for the occasional match for Surrey if they had injuries or whatever. I couldn't because I was starting a business, but in truth I wasn't good enough. And my late and very great friend Tony Cozier, the West Indian commentator, once said that I was the finest straight break bowler in the SW3 5TS postcode. Another great friend, a Sussex man, Tony Gray, famously said, give your hand to cricket and it will take you on an amazing journey. Well, all of us actually have been on an amazing journey through cricket, because cricket, I think, produces one of the most fabulous and warmest and most welcoming communities of any sport. To me, it's the best game, so to be sitting here, or standing here rather, as MCC President is a huge, huge thrill. One of my roles as MCC President is to host a number of lunches and dinners in the long room at Lord's. And a couple of weeks ago, I hosted Ed Smith. One of the MCC members at that dinner said he wanted to talk about the golden age, and he was sort of looking backwards and sort of talking about the 50s, the 60s, and so forth. And Ed Smith's response was very interesting. He said, I think we might be in a golden age without realising it. And he then went on to talk about the unique skills of Jos Buttler and his ability to create the sort of shots that we saw, particularly in the one-day game in the West Indies. He talked about how Stokes, in time, could be one of the greatest all-rounders of the UK that we've had in England. And of course, Joe Root would have been a class cricketer in any generation. And that, of course, is without even mentioning our 3 outstanding wicketkeeper batsmen. So this time next year, could England be World Cup champions in both the men's and the women's version of the 50-over game? Could we be the holders of the Ashes? And could we, in the international rankings, be #1 in both the red and white ball? If you're kind enough to invite my successor in 12 months' time, that could be a golden lunch in a golden era. Thank you so much for the invitation. And could I please ask everybody to stand for the toast to cricket? Cricket.
Mr. President, thank you very much. A big thank you to the Cricket Society and congratulations to all the recipients here this afternoon. I'm just going to tell you a few stories. When I used to play cricket, still play a bit of cricket, but before I start actually, I saw a great player I used to play with way back. I could think way back in 1984, Ryan Clinton, and he is #1 of 1,116. Thank you very much, Ryan. And as Joe said, I eventually got him out. I reckon he surrendered actually. He so many times he was the 9th batsman out, but eventually he surrendered. So he was my first class cricket. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. As you can tell from the accent, I wasn't born here. I was born in Jamaica. My dad still lives in Sheffield. He came over in the early 60s. I lost my mom when I was 6 years old, so I was brought up in Jamaica by my grandparents and decided to join my dad later on in 1979. I'll just tell you how it all started actually. I actually played in the Yorkshire League back in Sheffield, and just presenting young Jacob actually with his award, I realised I actually played cricket with his dad. His dad played in Sheffield for Sheffield Collegiate, and I actually played for Sheffield United. But I'll just tell you how it started. I said 1984 it was. I was selected for the Yorkshire League 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club. That was on a Friday. We were playing a game at a place called Castleford. The Yorkshire pre-season game, that is, the Castleford, yeah. And the full Yorkshire side turned up to play, and obviously the Yorkshire League Select 11, I was one of those. Opening the batting was Martin Watson and the great Geoffrey Boycott. My first over was March 1984, and they said I was at college at Richmond College in Sheffield, so I actually nicked the Friday off college to play this game. Ran up to bowl my first over, bowled the Yorker, and knocked Martin Moxon out, clean ball, middle stump, out of the ground. The second over, the same fate happened to Mr. Boycott. His middle stump was out of the ground. And I eventually ended up taking 3 wickets, and for the first time in the league history, the Yorkshire League 11 actually beat Yorkshire County Cricket Club in 1984 for the first time in a pre-season game. So, you know what, I was just lucky actually, In that game, there was a photographer there, so he took a picture with me. And Jeff Boycott's bat was actually halfway down, as I said, when his biggest son was out of the ground. And in the Yorkshire Post, the headlines on the Saturday was York's been Devon. So the coach at Derbyshire saw it, came down to Barch Road in Sheffield, said to me, young man, you're the guy who cleaned ball Jeff Boycott. I said, yes, sir. It was Phil Russell, who was the coach at Derby. He gave me his card. I said, here you are. Come to Derby on the Monday for a trial. I said, I don't believe so. I said, I already just Nick Friday off college to play and clean Boycott up. I said, my old man would definitely kill me if I Nick Monday off college to come in for a trial. He said, tell you what, young man, come to Derby for a trial on Monday. Eventually, well, went up to Derby. And the next, that guy's like Jack Miller, Great Bob Taylor. For the first time, I'm really, getting towards seeing real heroes of mine, or guys I saw playing TV. So, into the Nets. I did try. There was a, youngster, a 21-year-old, turning up there to. You're trying to impress. You're trying to bowl as quickly as possible. In my head, I thought I was bowling 100 miles an hour. In my head, and I managed to slip a ball actually past Kim Barnett's nose. He was the captain then. What you're trying to do? He went as white as that tablecloth. the only thing though, Kim was actually facing Jeff Miller in the spinner's nest. At the end of the next, he said, "Why? Bloody can bowl fast. I've never seen a youngster get a ball as quickly as that. Yeah, I've got a bloody clue where it's going, but you know what? We'll get you straight." And they offered me a contract. What happened from then? Matter of fact, I mentioned about Jeff Boycott out. The moral of the story is, Boycott at the best of times is a miserable son. I love him. I love boys. Absolutely love boys to bits. Absolutely love boys. You can say whatever you want and comment and all that. But if you ever want a reaction from Jeff Boycott, now you see Jeff Boycott anywhere, just mention the name Devon Malcolm. Mention the name Devon Malcolm, 100%. I promise you, Jeff will turn around to you and say, if it weren't for my wicket, nobody would know that bugger. One of the greatest honours, actually, you said, been in this game, played for a long time. One of my greatest honours came in 1989 when I had a call to make my debut for England. It was against the mighty Australia in 1989. Pretend that was about the fourth test match. A period of time when all the senior cricketers decided to go off to South Africa on the Rebel Tour, so quite a lot of younger players coming through were thrown in deep end. Myself made my debut, Michael Atherton made his debut, Angus Fraser. I remember I was Tim Curtis as well from Worcestershire, and Martin Moxon. Playing at Trent Bridge. As you know, as a fast bowler, what you do, or what we coach their fast bowlers, your job is to use the new ball, try and get early wickets, isn't it? Turn up to Trent Bridge, I tell you what, leading up on me a couple of days before, was just nerve-wracking. So nervous. The night before the game, I probably had twist and turn. I probably bought 100 overs in my sleep. I was absolutely knackered. All the start of the game. It's incredible. But at the end of the first day's play, walking off the pitch, close of play, first day, look back on the scoreboard read 301 without loss. What an introduction to international cricket. Cool. I heard about club cricket, county cricket, a lot is going on, but test cricket is tough, isn't it? I eventually, ladies and gentlemen, at the third new ball, managed to pick up my first wicket in international cricket. I actually got Steve Waugh out. David Gow was my first captain. War, Court Gower, Bold, Malcolm, not. David Gower came across as the captain, probably with the shoot my hand. Well done there, congratulations. Well done. He said, that Bubba's no got an average. That's the first time in the series I got him up. It was Feeble at that stage was averaging about 406. You know, you make a debut. Went back to Derbyshire the following day. It was after the test match. I mean, I needless to say what the result was. We lost the game handsomely. Handsomely. Went back to Derbyshire the following day, practice day. But you know, you make the debut in a game, or you go to play international cricket. You expect your teammates to, you know, how about it with them? What was it like playing test cricket? What was it like? Although, you know, I didn't have the best debut. Took one wicket. You know, what was it like playing for England? What was it like in the changing room with the heroes? Ian Botham was playing, David Gower, Brian Gooch, and all these guys. You saw these guys in county cricket, but you don't speak these guys as heroes. They're playing first class people, they're still the heroes. You expect the guys to be, you know, making an inquiry. The changing room was as quiet as it was. Nobody said a word. This is my corner, I'm there. One of my great schoolboy heroes played for Derbyshire, Michael Logan. He was in the corner just after my left. Mikey said, yeah. Broke the ice. As long as you live, man, you won't have figures as bad as those. And Michael broke the ice. I won't tell you what my bowling figures, but a matter of fact, you know, I said I leave to Jamaica. I mean, I was a youngster, came to England, not to play cricket, as I said, came to, you know, join my dad when I was a student. But my first trip back to the Caribbean, since I left as a youngster, was in 1989-90 trip. As I said, you know, made my debut for England against Australia. Lucky enough, I was selected to go on tour to the Caribbean 1989-90 trip. And as I mentioned, my debut set off to the Caribbean with figures of 1 for 166 meant I set off to the Caribbean full of confidence. Going to be playing against the mighty West Indies. The first test match was in Jamaica. Back to the land of my birth, as I said, for the first time. I wasn't one of the best fielders in the world, and probably a lot of you guys heard or seen Monty Panesar field, right? But compare Monty Panesar and myself. Monty Panesar actually looks like John T. Rhodes compared to me. I worked pretty hard on my fielding though, you know. First time I said back in Jamaica, you know, fielding deep, fine leg, third man and all that. Got a strong arm. And the crowd was very vociferous. I could understand all the language, all the, you know, the jokes from the crowd. And I remember at one stage I said to Gucci, I said, Gucci, the crowd is killing me, man. He said, look, they're really late to me here, they're roaring me down here. I said, can I field in the circle a bit, just have a little bit of breather? He said, Dave, you're not a very good fielder, mate. You got to stay out there. I had a very good game in the Caribbean. And you know, a lot of people, you know, over the years have been playing, so way back then, people ask, Dave, have you ever been playing a cricket game about sledging and all that business? Well, I said, I'll let you decide if this was sledging. Playing for the West Indies, at the time, a captain, a guy batting at number 4, sorry. A guy called Sir Viv Richards, the great Vivy. Viv Richards, he was a type of player, you know, when Vivy going to be going up to bat. The outgoing batsman, Viv Richards, always hang back and wait till the outgoing batsman actually get in the pavilion before he walks over his swagger. cap turned to the side, chewing his gum, literally acting up his own, as if he owned the place. A matter of fact, many occasions he probably did. In the first innings, 1989-90 trip in Jamaica, I managed to get Viv Richards out, LBW, in the first innings. I promise you, the umpire who gave Viv Richards out has never been seen since. Never been seen since. I was lucky enough to clean bowl him in the second innings, and for the first time in 35 years, England won a test match in Jamaica. I mean, Angus Fraser bowled extremely well. Angus Fraser took 6 wickets in the first innings, and Alan Nam did very well as well. Alex Stewart, coach here now, made his debut. Nasser Hussain was on that trip as well, and Wayne Larkins from Northampton, he played as well. So we had a great test match, wonderful test match there for the first time. And as I said, did very well, get Viv Richards out and all that business. And I was invited to the press conference, and as an inexperienced tourist, naive and all that business, inexperienced tourist, at the press conference, all the press guy, you gotta be making a few comments, said, Dev, you seem as if you've got the formula. And I said, formula? I said, you've got the master blast of Viv Richards out twice in the test match. England won the test match in Jamaica, first time in 35 years. And I rhetorically said, probably I don't. I probably got the formula, I've got him out twice. I promise you. The following day, on all the sports pages across the Caribbean, the headlines were, Devin Malcolm the chemist. As you can imagine, Vivi wasn't a very happy man. He was not a happy man. So we move on from Jamaica to Trinidad to play the next test match. And I pick up my ball pretty well actually. Pick up my first man of the match award for England. We took 11 wickets in that game. Again, we should have won, but the rain came and we missed out. And what I must tell you is that Viv Richards did not play this game in Trinidad. He was poorly, he was ill, he had piles. So he had to miss that game. The next test match was in Barbados. Viv was fit again. We knocked it back. And I was pretty high, full of confidence for my test match in Trinidad. As I said, 11 wickets in the game. Viv Richards walked out. As he always do. He just started going. He swallowed a wall, fell, hat to the side. No helmet, nothing at all. I promise you. Viv Richards came up to bat. The first ball I ran up to goal for Viv Richards. Okay, full of confidence from Trinidad. Running. Ball Viv Richards advanced there. Viv Richards just got 6 runs. The next ball, I ran up and I said, a little bit more pace, and I bowled this one at him a bit. Viv Richards got there and he hooked this one right off his eyelid. For Alex Stewart fielding down the deep, I keep saying, yes, Alex got him now. Over Alex Stewart's head. 6 more runs. 2 balls. 12 runs. But what I forget to tell you is, after the first ball, I run up the first ball, we open for 6. As he does, down the track, doing his gardening, as they say. I was, still in my mark, I follow through. Vivi actually said to me, showtime. So I'm walking back to my mark, scratching my head, saying, what the bloody hell Vivi's chirping about? I've just finished my game in Trinidad. 11 wickets in the game, full of confidence. And as I said, the second ball, he cracked me off the park for 6.